Choke artist. Now we don't know what to do.
Dude, I did. I choked on a podcast on accident because they were talking about my past, and I didn't know what to bring up specifically because my past is super colorful, and I just like I wasn't putting it together. I was using a lot of filler words, and then it ironed out. But I was just like, I was tired. I was on like 4 hours of sleep. It was like 6 p.m. I'm like, I tried more caffeine instead of creatine, and I was like, sorry guys, and they're like, no, that was good. Like, you had a bunch of stuff in there, but like once I got going, it was fine. But I was like, for some reason, I was just like, wasn't coming together.
It
like,
wasn't
No. And it
connecting.
was one of the bigger podcasts I'd been on too. I was like,
Oh, really?
hell yeah.
Do you think that's had something to do with it, like in the back of your mind?
I think at first, and then when I wasn't able to like have the like get out what I wanted to, and I just kept talking, I was like, oh no, like the same thing for reps. Like you start striking and your rhythm's off, and you're like, oh, I'm getting pieced up right now. That's what it felt like. I was like, okay, get it together, figure it out. And that was
But you're
fine.
probably just more hyper aware of where you were too.
Yeah, I'm
and
sure. I don't
that's
know how
where
that-
all the problems come
Yeah.
up, right?
Yeah, and I was just dead already in the car, and I was like, man, this is not the day. But it worked out. They asked me to come back a second time, so
That's awesome. Hey,
good.
I always say in my business world, when I'm talking to employees, and I'm like, do you know how I know it was a good meeting? And they're like, why? Because they took another meeting.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
like, basically, if you got the next meeting, you did a good enough
Yeah,
job.
they're like, oh, I'll have to have you back on for this, and this. I'm like, cool. I don't know when they're posting any of the clips or anything. I've seen one of them, but I was like, all right.
Well, cool, man. Well, I'm very happy you joined me today.
Thanks, brother.
I
Thanks
really
for having
am.
me up
Obviously, we've been talking for a couple hours already.
Yeah.
As I'm getting the whole
Yeah.
podcast studio set up, which I have to thank you for because I hadn't done any of it up until you and I had met, and I said I wanted to do this. This is stuff I had been putting in the back of my mind. Even bought some of the equipment, hadn't started. And then when we did the podcast with you, me, and Jeremy, I'm like, I just got to kick things off and start doing them.
And kick things the right way, because you can always do the little bits and pieces, but then once you actually have like things in place, I feel like it makes it that much easier just to like hit it out the park. Exactly. Some people are like, oh, I'm gonna try in front of a screen first with one mic, and then I'm gonna do this and this and this, but you just went for it, and I think that's the best way to go.
Yeah, the hardest step to take is your first one.
Exactly. And then you're always preparing for the day that never happens otherwise, right? You're like, on this day I will start podcasting, and then that day never happens.
That's right. And then when you do finally get started, things don't go smoothly, and you have all the reasons to quit. And because you took so long, it's really easy to get back off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then having sometimes lining up guests or whatever else. For me, I had a refrigerator for my first one, and people like in my first podcast, I could word that better. I had a refrigerator that was running in the background because it was in my living room.
Oh,
And it was
okay.
just vocal.
It's like you interviewed a refrigerator.
Yeah.
I'm like,
We did the
man,
cold-
you've got
it was-
some talent.
It was the cold cast. We were just filming through a refrigerator. Words aren't my best friend all the time, but yeah. So we were right in the living room, and it was an open living room, and the refrigerator, because they were decent mics, so you could hear it in like really good headphones. So like people were like, man, it's annoying. I can hear it in the background. I'm like, what? And then I finally listened to it on a good pair of headphones, and I was like, oh, you can hear it.
Yeah.
That's when I realized quality matters.
Quality matters. And yes, for us, we're always critiquing. But one of the things that I was listening to just recently, some other podcasts, like you spend your whole life worrying about what other people are thinking about you. And then as you get older, you realize nobody was even thinking about you.
No, not at all. But this was like a studio producer that was like, man, I listened to your guys' podcast, but I couldn't handle the.
Oh, okay. Well, that is
but
different.
It's a very specific person. So I'm like, oh well, my podcast wasn't meant for him. It's meant for everybody else that doesn't have $500 headphones,
Well, cool. But I brought you on today because a few different reasons. One, we're buddies. Number two, I felt like it was safe. It's a good place for me to get more of my experiments out and the practice rounds.
100%.
Get it with a friend. Also, you've done a lot of podcasts, and I thought it'd be a good chance for me to interview somebody who's already gone through the journey to a bigger extent than I have.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Between my podcast and other people's, I'm coming up on 100.
Wow.
The episodes that I've been a part of, or I've been in, or with mine, because I think we have 66 filmed for my podcast now, which doesn't seem...
When did you start?
2020. And then,
2020.
and then I stopped when I had my meal prepping company, and then I restarted it again in 2024 with Travis, which helped set all this up. Thank you, Travis.
Yeah, thank you, Travis.
Yeah,
You're awesome. And I am very chagrined because I unhooked all your stuff to move things around. Had no damn idea what I was doing. So you'll need to come back up here and help me out again.
I like how he called it your stuff. It's like when the problems happen, it's Travis's stuff, right? You're like, Travis, what's wrong with your stuff?
Yeah, I'll buy the stuff, but
Yeah.
I mean, to make it work, we need Travis.
Yeah, exactly. That's why he wasn't feeling well, so I didn't want to ask because like the whole idea of that, you're like, oh man, you just come up there, but you know what I mean?
And
Like,
to
if you
do a
don't feel good-
favor. and
Yeah,
it's,
yeah. But-
Appreciate you thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I didn't even want to hit him up for it. I'm like, when we do another podcast, what I'd like to do is when I have my 13th episode done, I told you I want to do 13 episodes and release them all at the same time. And when I get the 13th done, I want to do one with him at the end, kind of like a thank you, kind of send off.
Yeah.
We can talk about it, everything that we learned, what I now know and wish that I had known when I had done my first podcast, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, I actually had him on as a guest.
Exactly,
Somebody didn't
yeah.
come in, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna interview you. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, let's do it now. He's like, all right. So he set it up for that, being the awesome guy he is, because it always takes extra time to do all that, move things around, and it was just funny because usually when he's editing and or like switching cameras and doing all the crazy magic he does behind the scenes, he we had like 2 hours went by, and he was like, oh my gosh, it's been 2 hours. He was like, that was like a time warp once you're on it. And you're tapped in. But it's fun. He has a lot of fun stories about traveling the world and doing different things. So like that one was meaningful for me too, because it's like I always want to bring him in. Like so I make sure he has a microphone too, so I can so he's not just sitting back there, so he can be part of the conversation.
He's your Jamie.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. And he makes sure he has Google pulled up or whatever else we have. I'm trying to get Perplexity as a.
See, that's what I want. I mean, we've got that whole setup there for him. I'll get him his own nice desk. He can sit over there and do it with us.
He's ready. He's ready.
Okay.
Yeah. Pull it up, Travis. Well, we just got a cardboard
Hey,
cutout
Travis, why
right
don't you go ahead and show them?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the cool thing is because you have a screen too, technically, so he could pull everything up.
Exactly. Well, he set it up, and then it's got a second monitor.
Yeah.
I overbuilt it for the quality of podcaster I am. The equipment's much better than the host at this point.
Yeah. It always is. That's how I feel too. Sometimes when I go in there, I'm like, I don't know how to work any of this. Like I could turn stuff on, but even then I'm like, you're far beyond me now with the skills. I have had to edit my own and upload them and do all that stuff for a little while. But yeah, even with the microphones, like even like learning the splitters and how to switch microphones and stuff, I was like, man, what a caveman job here for
Well,
me.
yeah, well,
Like, this doesn't work. With
you've
this
kind of
stupid job.
cavemaned your way into some success here because, like I said, you're 100 podcasts in now. That's
Oh
pretty
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, 100%. No, it's been way cool. It's been a lot of fun, and it's really cool just to hit it out of the park with like high level guests, like having really good guests from the get go.
I love that you say that because that's where I want to eventually get to. But to get high quality guests, you have to go through the whole journey where they want to be on your podcast first, right? That's one of the things. But what I'd like to do is actually hit the rewind button and, what made you decide you wanted to start podcasting?
I had people ask me to start a podcast. They like hearing me talk. I'll give unsolicited advice all the time to people, being a coach. So I had people ask me like, hey, when are you going to start a podcast? When are you going to start a podcast? So I ended up starting a podcast because other people were like, I think you'd kill it. And I'm like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. Because I've always loved podcasts for the last 15, 20 years, So that's what kind of got me in the ballpark or into the stadium, I guess you could say, to start my podcast journey was to actually, because I had other people saying, we'd listen. Yeah, my first episode's got 100 listens per episode.
That's pretty amazing.
But it was also 2020. And I
It's like a really good time to start a podcast when everyone's looking for something to listen to. But
because I put it through Anchor at the time, but now it's just called the podcast app. And what it is it was like a platform that posts on everything. So it posting on all the platforms, it basically gave me the opportunity to go global. So within my first 5 episodes, I was already in, because I think it's like 5 or 6% in Germany, 1% in Asia, different parts of Asia. And then, just across the board, I already have multiple countries listening to me every month. And now that they have like AI and things like that to help translate it, like even on the reels, if you sign up for that, it's just a single voice, it'll translate it in other languages for you. So it's like you can pick up to like 15 languages, I think. And it's weird too because it'll move your mouth in like Portuguese or Hindu or whatever. I'm like, whoa.
Eventually, they're not going to need any humans to do
No,
podcasting.
exactly. And then you're gonna have like the custom artwork of the human.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's going to be like the kids' drawings on the refrigerator. Like, oh, it's so cute. He tried.
Yeah, so I've moved from like macaroni that doesn't look like anything, to now I'm like the thumb painting. You know, it's like, oh, it's a bunny. I can see it now.
Yeah. So
But-
when you were, what were you doing before you were podcasting?
Like for work or just for fun? Like what do we?
Let's talk about for work, and then we can talk about fun. We can go for hours
Yeah.
probably on fun.
Yeah. So as for like hobbies and things like that, I've always been a coach since I was 18. Like I have 26, almost 27 certifications now, working on another one.
Yeah, well, but for people who may not know, what kind of coach are you? We're talking motivational coach? Are we talking a speech therapy coach?
Oh yeah, sorry. It's you called me a movement specialist, so that's what I say. It's like a body optimization coach. Or development coach is what AI calls it. So I did like a course on like nutritional psychology to help understand why people eat the way they do, their patterns. I have CrossFit level 1, level 2 certification, Olympic lifting, and then like my first one was ISSA. So most of it started with like either one-on-one classes for personal training, and then went into group classes, group fitness, and then over time I've traveled, did different states around the United States and trained with some of the best coaches. I worked with Orange Theory, I've worked with different private gyms, I've worked with coaching platforms to help coaches become better coaches, Mobility, Budokan. Budokan's like, have you ever heard of Budokan for Cameron Shane?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Lovato. I think he's under Cameron too. He does a lot of that stuff. But yeah, so anything movement related, all the way down to like, sorry, I'm choking on air. All the way down to your feet. So just restructuring, and then I have a little bit of a background in kinesiology and physiology.
That's pretty cool. And how did you get into that part?
So I got into a lot of that based off of I'm definitely on the spectrum for autism. I've had therapists tell me, and so it started with perfectionism. So I started working out in high school, and then from high school I went to, when I was around 18, people wanted to learn what I knew, and so then I got my certification for ISSA, and then from then on I was never. I always like wanted to know the why of something. Like, why does the bicep work like that? So like I would hyperfixate on that, and I'd hyperfixate on the next thing and the next thing, and then I would see instabilities in the body. And I think part of it too is I come from a rough upbringing, and so for MMA and things like that, I would see the way the body moves differently. So then I'd be like, why does the pelvis do this in this position, or why don't the glutes turn on here? And then when I moved to Utah, I was in a CrossFit gym where they were very good about form and why things were happening. And so it started teaching me to ask more questions of like why the body moves like that. Where does the spine need to be? Where do the hips need to be? Why do the hips react like that if the hip flexors are too tight? So then that kind of gave me the opportunity to find more certifications. And in the 2000s, there was a bunch of certifications that you can get for like $100 to $300. That was when you'd get all these seminars. It was like the seminar wave for physical fitness, and they were all over Utah. So any chance I got, I was like, I'm just gonna shoot for another one and get this one: kettlebell certification, mobility certification, like a resistance band certification. So for me, I was just climbing up the ladder.
Well, you did a hell of a lot more productive things during COVID than a lot of people, it sounds like.
Yeah, that was before COVID too.
Oh, that was before COVID?
Yeah, that was like, that was probably, so I moved out here in 2012. So that was between 2013 and 2019 that I got a bunch of those certifications.
Yeah. See, for me, I was one of those guys who got into sourdough and other stuff during COVID.
Yeah, sourdough's great. I get it. That's why I don't keep it in the house. I was listening to this podcast earlier, and they were talking about like there's this sourdough company that you can order to the house. It's called like, I don't know, I forget the name of it already. Grain something fun, and granola sounding,
Yeah.
But they were talking about giving away. They're like, if you sign up now, you get a free year supply of chocolate sourdough croissants, and I'm like, I don't need that, but I want it. Yeah, just oh man, like
So-
if you sorry, go ahead.
Well, just to make sure, I want to make sure we get some good tangible things out of
Yeah.
this too, so that anybody who happens to have made it through the first 10 minutes goes, you know what, I'm still glad I listened.
Yeah.
And one of those things is when you get somebody who has expertise, I always like figuring out a few things. And one of those is like, when did you determine that you were good at it?
I've always had perfectionism,
Sure, but how related to coaching? When did you figure out you'd be good at coaching? Not so much.
This is what I'm getting into.
Okay.
So with all of that being said, and like the imposter syndrome, I would always try to be a better and better coach and learn more and more. But then I had like NFL players that I would train before I went to the Human Garage in 2019 tell me like, you were able to solve my issue in like 5 minutes for my squats. I've been going to PTs and different people for years, and you pointed out something that none of them did. So I think probably around between 2017 and 2019 is really when I started believing it myself. And for me, I'm like, like with the MMA community, everybody else, there's always like, I'm good, but there's that guy. Like we always kind of do the self-deprecation thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, for me, it was just hearing it from other people and actually seeing it. And for
Yeah, no, I love that you said that. I was just saying, when you said hear from other people, because oftentimes what I think the most important thing is for people is feedback. And it's, you can't get better in a vacuum because you don't know how it is in relation.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, even if you are good, you don't know if you're good. And what you just said kind of echoes that we're constantly, as social creatures, creating feedback, but also just the experimentation process, right? You test something, you get feedback under it, and that helps you calibrate. So,
And-
tip for you guys: you can't get better at something if you don't practice it, and then also practice it in a way that you can get ridiculed or that get feedback or get better. Basically, the whole purpose of doing something is so you can receive that feedback.
right, if you're the best in the room, you're in the wrong room, right? Across the
Exactly.
board.
And if there's no one else in the room, then you're
Yeah.
definitely in the wrong room.
Yeah, and that person, I was going to say a joke. I'm not going to say that joke. But yeah, so for me, it was starting to hear that feedback because originally I was coaching people. It wasn't even a money-driven thing. I just love helping people. So if I could help somebody, I'm like, hey, dude, try this. And then that coach would have me coach more and more. And I didn't think about it because he was very selective on who he had coach. I'm like, oh, he just has other stuff going on. But then that coach kept having me coach for mornings and things like that. So I would guest coach at other gyms and they would ask for me back. And that's when I was like, oh, I got something here. And it's different. And then I've had more and more like pro athletes tell me like, dude, you're like a top 1% coach. And now I'm teaching PTs and different PT professionals or, physiologists or whoever down that rabbit hole of movement coaches or structural coaches, little tidbits here and there on how to move certain areas of the body, which has been fun. Like I've had people on the podcast or people in real life that they'll be like, hey, or they'll send me stuff and they're like, hey, what's your perspective on this? And that's where I'm starting to, in the last 3-4 years, I'm like, oh man, maybe I am a professional at this, at least a brown belt,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love that because you started viewing yourself that way. A question for you though, as you were talking, I was thinking to myself, so when you started getting that feedback, did you keep going and getting more certifications after that?
I slowed down because I was listening to more individuals like on podcasts or like the creators, like actual creators, not just like influencers, that would talk about how are you applying that to your life and how are you applying that to your clients. So if you just keep absorbing all the time and you're not applying it and you can't transmute that back out into the universe or to your people, then you're addicted to data. So I had to back off being addicted to data.
Exactly. It was a bit of a leading question because I feel this way as oftentimes people seek certifications or education to offset their own feelings of insecurity or inferiority. Mm-hmm. And once you no longer feel insecure, You don't need to get other people's adulation or these accreditations to know that you're good at something. When you know you're really good at something, you don't need a piece of paper telling you to do that. Now, not to say that getting a piece of paper isn't important, because you have to learn and get education knowledge to the point where you're comfortable and confident enough to do things. But once you can do those things, that's when your real expertise shows. And it's going back and just hiding behind certifications is, I think, a trap that a lot of people get stuck in, especially in the finance profession. I get to see this all the time with advisors who aren't really great at getting clients, but they're really good at going and getting those next 3 letters.
Exactly. And then I think there's a difference between applicable knowledge and book smarts. You know, you have like the ones that can actually apply it in real life, and then some people that can't solve the equation.
Yeah. I have a brother-in-law. He's a psychologist, works a bunch with autistic children. And I was asking
I'm
for
just
the yeah, well, I should hook you up with him later. No, but one of the things that he said was really important is the difference between knowledge and intelligence is the ability to apply that knowledge to practical situations. So you could have all the knowledge in the world and you're not smart unless you know how to use that information.
And I feel like, too, there's people that are too smart for their own good, and we know these people. They're brilliant, but they don't. I think there's, though I like the way you say that, because like I feel like there's a difference between being smart, intelligent, or brilliant, or whatever that is. Because I feel like with intelligence, you also comes with EQ, and you know where the boundaries are. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you have people that don't. Just in general, you can have people across the board in anything. Like you said, they have to regurgitate information, or they have to tell people how smart they are, and that's a form of brilliance. But it's not like finding the boundaries of reading people or understanding the psychology or the dynamics of what it is to apply that to real life. I think I just resaid the same thing you did, but
no, that's good. That means we're
Yeah.
on the same
Yeah,
page,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
simpatico. We're
Yeah.
going. We're jiving.
yeah,
So-
using big words, photosynthesis.
Where can I plug this in?
Yeah.
Anti-disestablishmentarianism.
yeah.
Great. So we were talking about you and the certifications, and obviously you stopped getting the certifications once you really had the capacity, the proficiency, I should say, being able to teach really well, and maybe slowed down with that a bit. So was it your clients telling you should be going into podcasting, or was it just your friends? Who was telling you?
All of them, friends, family members. I would say not a ton of family, but a lot of clients. They were like, you need to write a book, start a podcast. You need to do something, because we love listening to that. And then I always thought I sound like a 14-year-old boy growing up. Like I don't, my voice didn't match me for a long time. I think it's finally deep enough now to where somebody's like, he sounds like an adult. But that's another thing too, is like, especially with like some women, they tell me, they're like, we love listening to you on a podcast. You have like a voice that sounds good and it's soothing. And I'm like, well, that's a first. I wasn't expecting that coming out anywhere. So, but yeah, so it really was just me having conversations with individuals. And there was a time in my life too where I didn't apply myself a lot when I was younger. I was good at hand skills and like working with blue-collared work. That's what I grew up doing, but I didn't really apply myself in school. I could pass tests if I needed to. Didn't really care for high school or middle school. I got kicked out of most of them, honestly. And I felt like I was behind the curve, and my uncle's, he's a brilliant guy. He was an Army Ranger. He could, if there wasn't a car part or something, he would buy a mill and figure out how to make it, type of guy. He got bored in his off time, and he learned how to program video games because he seen a glitch in the game, and then was able to work with that video game company. Like, just brilliant.
That to me is somebody who is actually brilliant,
Yes.
very intelligent, practical application of knowledge.
So I have a couple people like that in my life. And then when I moved out here, there's a guy named Dave DeHoyas. Shout out to Dave too. Brilliant. He was such a good coach, and he gave me goosebumps. He was that next step. So for me, I was always like I was like, how can I be my version of that? I need to be that. So it was always in the back of my head to be like, that was my version of being the top salesman. I was like, I just have to I didn't have it in my teens and 20s, so I need to gain as much knowledge as possible. And I didn't realize that some of that was just life experience that I was gaining first. And then, so I spent a few years of listening to as many podcasts, reading as many books as possible, trying to finish a book a month on different things, like asking all my friends what books they're reading. and then trying to learn more about history, ancient advanced civilizations, like everything that I thought was like listening to Joe Rogan or some of these people, Jordan Peterson, all these people. I'm like, I need more knowledge. But then, so I backed off of that too. And I kind of gave myself time to like process all of it after like 5 years of just finding my own version of the Library of Alexandria and trying to read everything in there.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to turn it over and say, okay, great. Let's drop a couple of nuggets then. So you're an expert in body mechanics, body movement, body performance, those kind of things. So I'm going to ask you, what's the 3 most important things that a person can do? If you were going to break it down to the 3 things, like anybody, if they're just starting off or they're advanced, what are the 3 most important things that they should do to start with? High level, break it down super simple. And I should tell you this, I'm giving you some time to think, but I believe that true understanding is when you can break something down to simplest terms. Einstein has that quote saying, if you haven't broken something down to its simplest terms, you haven't really solved the problem. So I think, every time I talk to an expert, they're able to break it down and make it easy enough that a dumb person like me can understand it. So let's go ahead. Give me your top 3 things that you say would be the most important towards physical health first.
Touch the doorknob. Whether it's a gym, an app, whatever it is, make the commitment to at least open the app, go for the walk, or go to the gym and just walk in the door. Because if you can get past that, then it's not so scary and you can move forward. So just being able to get past that barrier that a lot of people have and being stuck behind that, like, oh man, people are going to poke at me. People are looking at me. Just go in, drive into the parking lot. The first step is getting there. So and that's a big one for a lot of people. Download the app, go for the walk. And another one is, a big one is drink more water. Is very simple. And just eat one less cookie. Just make it a choice to do one less thing that is bad for you or detrimental to your health, and then implement one more good thing. That's where I would start for most people. It's just walking. Now we can get deeper in the weeds and there can be more structure there. Another one's like foot health is huge because it's the foundation of your body, but that can get a little deeper in the weeds. But the biggest thing is like...
Okay, so we got number 1, touch the doorknob, or just take action, do something. Okay, so that's 1. What's number 2?
Hydration.
Number 2 is hydration.
Hydration. And I would use electrolytes. Water isn't enough. Water's great, but if it doesn't have minerals back into it, reverse osmosis water, these kind of things, your kidneys will flush it out of your muscle tissue thinking it's going to get more. That's a big one.
By the way, I'm going to drop a link for this thing called Trace Minerals from Concentrace. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it online. I'm not endorsed by them. I get nothing for it, but it's really good. It can give you all the needed electrolytes and minerals that your body needs on a daily basis.
They're also sourced from the Great Salt Lake.
I did not know that. And they're local.
Yeah, the Trace Mineral Company. They either come in the blue bottles or the white. Yeah, they're sourced out of the Great Salt Lake.
Really? That's very cool.
Yeah. Supposedly apparently it's the sides that don't have the weird algae and stuff that the Deep does. But yeah, I've talked to the owners a couple times, or at least people that were higher up in the company.
Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get them on this podcast.
You should.
I'm seriously going to do that. That's mark this. If I haven't done it within a year, you can come slap me in the face on camera.
Okay, we're going to do it.
Okay.
That one's going to, hopefully he's having a good day. That day I'm like, put that out. Oh man, sorry. That was a reaction there.
Okay, so you gave me your top 3 things there. Now, let's switch it to the other side, because you've been doing podcasting. You've been doing it for 6 years now, and you've got 100 episodes under your belt. Mm-hmm. What would you say would be 3 things that you wish you had known then that you know now?
Like we were talking about before, try to get your ego out of the way and just start. We're all fat kids at something, like we want to step into the realm of this or that. We live in a pretty coddled society, so we have to create imaginary lions to make us scared. And it's just tried to do the thing. Like I was always waiting for the perfect day, the perfect time, the perfect video, the perfect lighting. I just wish I would have started and stayed consistent. If I would have stayed consistent on the podcast, it would have been, because I seen 100 views and I'm like comparing myself to other people that have more, but I wasn't looking at my day one.
Yeah, I love that. So I'm seeing a similar theme too. So just take action, step number one, right? So you're like, okay, take the action. And then number two, I think you mentioned right there was stay consistent.
Yes. Well, because the amount of people I hear day in and day out that are like, I'm going to start a podcast. Do it. I have extra microphones if you need some. I have some like cheaper ones. They're not the Rode mics and stuff that are just chilling in my closet. I'll send them. I'll mail them to you. Just start. Let's do it. You know, even my sister, I thought about doing a channel for myself. I'll make you a guest on my podcast. Here's some questions. Study them. We just got to get you behind the camera sometimes. So it's just getting in the reps, like anything.
Don't overthink it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Something I'm learning right now.
And ask for help.
Yes.
There's people out there that love to help. I'll bring people on. I also realize I can't just bring people on because people make a lot of fucking excuses why not to do something. The only people I've had that have canceled on me that didn't like forget or had something come up will make 10,000 excuses before they come on a podcast. Oh, my grandma did this, or my uncle, I sprained my ankle. And then you see him later in the day or something, and you're like, I don't know. But we all have that, we
all have that person.
Yeah.
In us.
So I have empathy. I don't have sympathy for a lot of that stuff because it puts a lot of time and effort. And some of the solo podcasts came out because people couldn't show up. So you got to show up for yourself, and you got to show up for other people sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I'm taking this to heart right now because I haven't done as many episodes as I want. I could already be at the bank of 13 right now if I'd just been more consistent. So you got me the first two.
Also, record yourself on your phone if you have inspiration. Like, do a voice note. If you have if you're like, man, I should do a podcast on that. Take a voice note down, have it, then you won't forget what that is.
I love this. But I couldn't endorse this anymore. 100%. I agree so much. I've got probably, if you printed out, maybe 3 pages of notes of different things that I want to do. And to your point, if I just take action, I already have the inspiration and it's something I want to do. One of the things I learned early is just like 3 episodes in, I realized I shouldn't be creating podcasts for other people. I should be creating podcasts for things that I find genuinely interesting and that I'm passionate about, and find your niche.
Another thing too is like a good one for me is like, think of your avatar. Who specifically you want to talk to, or do whatever it is, whether it's you thinking of the individual that you want to create and then you have to create the micro steps to get to be that person, or you think of your avatar for your niche. Like for you, it's like, who were you before the success and how did you get there? So then that way you're like, oh, this is what I got to tell that one person instead of the whole audience. So then you can track down those one people.
That's really smart. You're basically reverse engineering, saying,
Yes.
okay, what am I trying to get to?
Yes.
Where's the end game? And then what steps would I need to take?
Otherwise-
There's a version of this that I heard somebody say, really famous podcaster, that said, well, who's the person you want to be? Now, if you're going to write the story, how did that person become that person? It's like, just follow that. That's your story right there. If you already know who you want to be, write down the things that person would need to do. And there's your hero's journey right there.
Who do you want to play in the movie when the camera's on?
That's
So
right.
You became the main character of your own story. Another one is like, if the Grand Canyon theory. Have you ever heard of that? Most people have it in some way or another. You can see the other side of the Grand Canyon, but you have no path to get there. You're so fixated on looking over there, you can't see the trail underneath you. So you have to look around and figure out how you're going to get over there instead of just not think. You're just start thinking about the next step in front of you because the path's going to eventually get over there.
I like that.
I had a friend tell me about podcasting. He's like, dude, yeah, you're looking all the way over there. That's great. But how are you going to take your first step? Just start walking.
Okay, so let's again just break that down into the top 3 things. Number 1 was take action.
Yeah,
go and do it.
Yeah.
Number 2, do it consistently, regardless how you feel or who's showing up or not. You got to show up for yourself. And number 3 was?
What was the number 3?
The 3, take notes, right?
Oh, yeah, take notes. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's,
notes, get inspired. Basically,
spiritual hydration. Because how many times is it like, you get this idea, and then you're like, you wait 10 minutes and you're like, it's gone. Your wife calls you, whoever, you have a 40-minute call, and then you're like, or even with a vocal note, I think with podcasting and things like that, it helps hear your tone, the excitement, and then you can redial that back in to get onto the podcast.
That's right. And it's creating the neural pathway too, because when you speak it, you're visualizing it and you're speaking it, and it creates a neural pathway. One of the things that we keep keying around the same subject, and it's one of the things that I think is a universal truth. And if you guys don't know, Tony Robbins is probably the most inspiring figure to me. He's the guy who took me from a 16-year-old living on the street to somebody who gets to do this kind of stuff for fun. And one of the things that he teaches, which is probably the core principle, is the cure for everything is action. Immediate and massive action is what he says. But the idea that you can fix just about anything by just starting, by just doing something. It doesn't mean you do it well. It just means that you're doing it. And the act of doing it, you get better. But more importantly, when you do it, you're exposing yourself to the things that you want to be exposed to, whether that's, exercise and fitness, or if it's podcasting, getting around other podcasters who know more, or if it's in business world that you're going out there and failing forward and talking to clients and learning more about what they actually want to know and understand, and then you're a better version to the next one. But if you don't take that immediate and massive action, everything else is just wishes and fishes.
Mm-hmm. And ask questions. Like when I first started going to the gym, or for like you, whether it's in jiu-jitsu or it's podcasting, or you go to the gym and there's some buff guy or girl, a fit girl, 9 times out of 10, they're always going to answer your question.
Well, exactly right. And one of the things I love so much is that by me just going out and putting myself out there, I'm not doing a great job at it. I'm doing a very mediocre job, but I feel like I'm falling forward. More importantly, is I'm getting exposed to people like you, or I'm working in different capacities with Kenny Florian or Jeremy Horn, people that I'd meet in my regular life or jiu-jitsu or going and watching a fight, but now I'm getting to lean on their expertise in a totally different facet. And that wouldn't have happened if I didn't take those first steps. Like, you will not get anything you want. You won't get anything you want by just thinking about it.
Nope.
It won't happen.
It's usually way different in real life.
Oh yeah,
You're painting,
what
you're
you
trying
want
to paint with the back of the brush, and you're like do, and nothing's happening. You're making a little engraving on the paper or the canvas, but it's never, once you flip that brush around and you put it on the canvas, the brush stroke's going to be completely different than you ever thought it was going to be.
That's right. Success is not a straight line. No. And what you thought was success when you start is not going to be what you think is success once you're actually successful.
Like you're talking about on the drive up here. It's the little wins that were so big.
Exactly.
And that's where it is. And you got to stub your toe. Don't throw down Legos and step them on, or constantly step on them yourself and walk in a circle in your room. You wonder why you keep stepping on these painful Legos. Like, go outside.
Go outside. Go do something.
Yeah.
Go suck at something. I promise you, the fear of sucking is much worse than actually sucking. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And it's always like I was talking about today on my story. It's like, go have those hard conversations, go do those hard things, and I guarantee 9 times out of 10 they're going to be far less catastrophic than you ever think they're going to be in your head.
That's right. And even if they were every bit as bad, you find out that that bad isn't really that bad. The bottom's not that deep in most situations. We're in a very blessed situation living in America where there's a lot of natural safety nets. Usually the worst thing that happens to you when you go try something new is you feel embarrassed, or you lift too much, or if you're doing fighting for the first time, you go get your butt kicked and feel stupid. And then you realize, oh, that's not that bad. I feel stupid a lot of the time anyway.
You realize, oh, nothing happens when I see red. And then I see black, and I have to get out of here.
It's so funny because it's interesting because how you meet people shapes what you think about them, but also depending on what you're doing shapes the impact of that individual to you, or in my case even the impression of our initial meeting, because we've met a couple times initially, but once through fighting, but then the second time through Jeremy, and it's the second one that I really remember. The first one you remember, but I would think it was in a different capacity. So from your standpoint, when did we first meet?
We first met sometime on the mat. I had long hair back then, so you don't remember me. I probably smelled like petroleum problems. But yeah, we met on the mat. It was one of the night classes. I think you were prepping or helping people prep for a fight. It was around the time, I want to say it was around the time Skylar fought. It was like 2017 or before
Oh,
Skylar
okay.
fought.
Okay.
Landerman. And
Yeah.
so somewhere
By the
around
way,
there. That was when
is
it was when Mitch was training for a fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mitch
2000
Thompson?
Yeah.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
I started at Jeremy Horns, I think in 2000, right after they moved, like 6 months later to that new facility. So 2016, 2017.
I
was
might have
there
been
around
training
there.
for my last
Yeah,
fight.
it was somewhere around there.
LFA or something.
Yeah, because I want to say we even sparred and you beat the crap out of me, but,
Oh, I hope not.
yeah. Well, everybody did, so it wasn't like I was like, oh, I got some good punches, but no head movement right now. It's like tink tink. But yeah, I remember because like Mitch and Jeremy and Skylar were all just talked your praises. So they're like, oh, this is Allred, blah blah. You know, he's this, and I was like, oh, cool. And then you came into a lunchtime class. Sean O'Connell and some of the other guys were there. It was more like, I mean, even because that was when either Angel or
talk about a strange guy.
oh my, he sends me the VC. He sends me the most interesting reels daily.
Angel.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I don't know if I've ever had a normal interaction with
He's
that
a
guy
police
ever.
officer.
Yeah, that is terrifying.
that, I
like,
was like-
frankly, that's terrifying. Like, we train with a lot of the cops. Most of them are really cool. Angel being one, like, Angel's one of the people, most of the time I can predict what they're going to say, or I have an idea what the social interaction is going to be like before I talk to him. Angel, never have a clue what it's going to be like with
Dude,
him.
I thought him and his shin bone were dating my liver. His shin bone and my liver were dating. He was just him and
Such an interesting
yeah.
cat.
Oh, who's the one dude that used to be a bus driver? Francis. Francis was the other coach.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. James.
James Francis is a really
Good
nice
dude.
guy.
Good
Really
dude.
nice
Great
guy.
guy. Love him.
That's a guy that you would never guess fought
Nope.
because of how nice he is.
Oh yeah, kind of like you. But yeah, that's.
I'm friendly. I'm not
yeah.
nice. I think there's a difference.
Yeah, he's a genuine. I was like, you're a bus driver, like just all these weird random things. Yeah, James was it was him and Angel that were the coaches, and I think Justice to Minardi, Justice.
Yeah, Justice Minardi.
Yeah,
He lives right up here in Park City too.
Yeah,
Actually,
I love him.
dude, we should
That's
get
a
him
great
up here
guy.
for rolling. Like anytime you
Oh,
come up
dude,
here,
yeah.
actually let's do that today. See if he can come by to hit the mats with us.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be
he'd
fun.
probably love it.
Yeah, yeah, dude, I love that guy.
He got hit in the back of the head in that one fight, and he can't fight anymore. But he'll still
That
roll.
was the one where he fought the wrestler that
Mm-hmm.
cut down, and he was like 185 pounds. The kid after he freaking rehydrated, the short one.
Oh, yeah.
It was in Ogden.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first one I brought my ex-girlfriend to. And she was
Oh.
like, I don't know if I like this. And I was like, I didn't like this one either. And even after that, he comes up to her with one eye open. He's like, it was such a pleasure to meet you. I'm like,
the nicest
he's
guy.
the best human ever.
Yeah, it's frankly one of the things I've always struggled with fighting because I
You
love
went to his
fighting.
wedding?
No, I was living out of state at the time.
Oh,
so I
okay.
didn't get
Because
that.
I was gonna say I went with Skylar and Maggio to the wedding. I
Yeah.
think Skylar. I went with Maggio for sure because Maggio was my roommate at that time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
See, I love that you know all the same people.
Yeah.
'Cause Maggio was like one of my proteges for a while when I took him under
Yeah,
my
he
wing
looks
when
like
I
he
first
could be your
started.
little brother.
Yeah.
So me too, in a different aspect. 'cause,
Totally,
Yeah,
totally.
when he moved in, he was like, "Man, that was the best. That was the healthiest I've ever been." Because
Well, he always does that. He gloms onto somebody
Yeah.
like Big Brother, right?
Yeah,
like that. He
and
wants a Big Brother
He would
in his
always
life.
shout out to Maggio.
Maggio, we
I
love you, man.
Yeah,
This
he'll
is
be-
said in the best way.
He'll be coming to train sometimes at Adapt when we open up too. It'll have to be after May 8th because Harriman has been so lovely. I've been making jokes about the city of Harriman. I'm like, do they train at another gym and they just don't want us to open up? Like just a joke, you know? Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, but yeah, Maggio, he lived. We were roommates for like a year at the townhouse in Harriman. That's where I started the podcast.
Yeah,
too, so.
no. Maggio says you're a great guy, and
Yeah, I
I
appreciate
like Maggio because
Yeah.
Maggio is a discerning person. He doesn't think everyone's a great guy.
Yeah, he went from living with Mitch and Skylar to moving in with me and my ex girlfriend. She's the gem. She's the salt of the earth type of person. So we just, when he gets home, we're like, ask him how his day was, sort things out with ladies and all that fun stuff. And we just sit down with him and just, he's like, and then that was when I had the meal prepping company. So we'd always have food and meals ready. When he came home, he was like, man, this is so awesome. Dinner's just always ready. He'd always joke around.
Well, going
"Thanks,
from a
Mom
bunch
and
of
Dad."
fighters.
Yeah, thanks, Mom and Dad. Because every day I was like, oh, because the meals are there. I just take them from the kitchen and put them in. And so he'd come home, he'd just have a plethora of like pre-cooked meals, or dinner would be done. So he'd give me elk steaks and things like that, and I'd cook them for dinner and stuff.
So, from your standpoint, then, as we come back in,
Yeah.
because I think we could talk about Jim all day. But so we talked about you fitness, then we talked about you starting your podcast, giving you top 3 things here. But how did you get into training?
Like MMA?
Yeah.
So my uncle was a Golden Glove boxer. He married my aunt, so he was Latino. So I started boxing at the age of 4 or 5 years old. I had some amateur boxing matches between like 7 and 17. And then, so I started there, and then it just so happened that my grandpa, which was related to my uncle, that was related to me by marriage, so they had both Latino gyms, opened up one in my hometown. And there was an MMA gym there too. So I started wrestling when I was a sophomore in high school. And then just so happened we went to the jiu-jitsu school next. So while I'm learning how to create space and pin, I also then as I'm learning the ropes there and getting destroyed, I get destroyed in jiu-jitsu in another facet. So I started.
Now, how old are you?
15.
Okay, you were 15 at this point. How old are you now?
I'm 37.
You're 37. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You're the.
So I should be a black belt if I was consistent. So
No,
be consistent.
should. I hate the word
Yeah.
should be. Should be. There's no such thing as
No,
should
everything
be.
happens for the exact
There
reason
are
it did.
and aren't, right?
Yeah.
It's what you are doing, what you aren't doing.
Yeah.
And you're exactly where you should be
Yeah.
right now
I
based
have
on what you've done.
The what ifs, because
Yeah.
that's what I lean into is like the what ifs of life. Yeah, what if you died in a plane crash? Those are real too.
Yep,
You could have
all
got-
that's real. I mean, what if I bought that lottery ticket, or what if
Yeah.
I had bought Apple stock at this?
Yeah.
It didn't happen, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a self-deprecation of a individual.
Yeah, exactly.
but-
I think
yeah,
don't
so-
worry about that. It took me 16 years to get my black belt, and the only reason I have my black belt is because Jeremy Horn took pity on me for rolling for so long. Is what I'd say.
And once you're tapping out certain people and things he's like, all right.
Oh yeah. Well, and to get on a total tangent, I think there's. A black belt should only be given to somebody when they can teach the moves that they're trying. It's an instructional level. Other than that, belts don't mean anything, in my opinion, because when I was a blue belt, I was submitting black belts, and right now I'm a black belt that can get submitted by a good blue belt. It depends on how much you're training, the quality of your opponent, and what kind of venues you're going into to do that. I don't think you should be like, I should be a black belt. I don't worry about those kind of things at all. The only reason you want a black belt is if you're going to go open up your own gym, which you guys are doing right now. So I totally understand it there.
Yeah, I get it sometimes because no gi, and then when I put on a gi, there's a lot of people that are like, get the fuck out of here. You're a blue belt. And I'm like, but yeah, anyways, so it originally started with striking. I would box every summer with my uncles, and then when Lompoc Boxing Academy was open, I started going there, both nonprofit boxing, very Latino based. It's one of the only white kids of both of them. So very gritty, dark, dirt, dingy style boxing gyms. And I did that for a while, boxing, and then I got into Kempo karate around the same time I was doing wrestling and jiu-jitsu, which was around 16. And it's like from these prison guards, so it was like very full contact, not like point sparring. Like I got kicked. I remember I got kicked. I was wearing a cup that was too small and got kicked in the back of my nuts. Like they went to kick my leg and just toes, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And
Dude, then it wraps around, hits you right in the taint.
Yep,
Oh,
yeah, I was just trying to
that
box.
taint fun.
No, it's not taint fun. And the cups only have so many sizes. And I was just simple striking, or I guess dynamic if you think of boxing as dynamic, but heavy on the front foot, started getting kicked a lot, get kicked in the face, and I'm like, oh, I'm missing a lot. So then I started doing a little bit of kickboxing, and then it translated to MMA when I was like 17, 18. And then I took some years off after that. And then I took a long span off when I moved out here. And then I started training again in 2012 and then again in 2017.
Nice. And how long do you think you'll keep training?
Jiu-jitsu and MMA and everything?
Yeah.
My whole life. It's like being able to start a fire without matches. You never know when you need it, but the day you do, it's going to save your life.
Do you enjoy it though?
Oh, yeah, I like getting punched, unfortunately.
Do you like jujitsu more or striking more? I feel like there's two camps.
I want my jiu-jitsu to get to the same level as my striking was. And now when I hold mitts and I strike now and I watch a video of me hitting a bag, I'm like, well, your jiu-jitsu is now better than your striking. But for me, I want both. But for me, I wanted to fixate on jiu-jitsu specifically and grappling more and then be able to piece together the two. So I'm going to start doing striking again. And then I love all of it. I think from the ground up, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do some of that today too.
Yeah.
So I've got,
we'll see what happens.
You got your stuff. I've got my stuff. We'll hold some pads for each other,
Cool.
and then we'll do some jujitsu. But now we get to my favorite part, where I monopolize your time and try and steal your expertise to help me in my personal life.
Perfect.
So one of the things that I struggle with, and that I think a lot of people that do jujitsu or MMA for a long time struggle with, is that their body stops working the way that it used to, and it's given problems and issues. Mm-hmm. So, how do you gracefully age? And then also, if I want to keep doing these kind of things, what are some things that I need to keep in mind, because I'm having a lot of issues lately, frankly, like nerve pain, not nerve pain, just numbness, really.
For you, if you're from a supplement standpoint, you can look into St. John's wort. It helps with reconnecting nerves. There's some studies that say it can replenish that. I forget there's a specific name for the electrical charge that goes through the nerves, but I forget.
Will that help with herniated discs?
So
that's, by the way, that is the bane of everyone who does jujitsu's existence, is herniated discs in your C4 through C7.
Yeah. My cervical, I have not only a disc herniated, I have a pinched nerve, and then I have a displaced vertebrae right now. It's getting put back in slowly.
Yeah, man, I saw that. That was wild.
Yeah, it's getting better, but it's been 7 months.
I have 7 herniated discs in my spine right now.
So a big thing is proper hydration with electrolytes. Make sure you're doing at least your body weight in ounces with electrolytes throughout the day, because that spongy tissue where your discs are, a big problem with that is the drastic weight cuts that fighters do. Yep, exactly. So the drastic weight cuts that fighters do, and then learning how to reactivate your fascial tissue. For you as an individual, that might be over everybody's head, but something for you is I would retrain your nervous system to be able, so I like to train from the spine out to the appendages, to your fingertips, from your spine to your fingertips, rather than your big muscle groups. And that's something I've learned by trial and error and from some of the new and old school coaches. So being able to work more on thoracic rotation and to help the subspinal muscles and your intercostal muscles and your hips and your feet.
Do you have examples, like what kind of workouts those would be?
So one of the number one things I always start with my clients is I have them take their shoes off and do a thing called toe yoga. It's one of the most complicated things for individuals to do. So you, let's see. So this hand here, you'll pick up your big toe, put it down, and then pick up the rest of your toes. Put it down, because your toes should be able to move like this. If you ask a kid to move their toes, they can move their pinky toe by itself. So one of the number one issues that happens with individuals with the shoe propaganda, we have elevated heels on shoes, and we don't have stirrups or horses anymore. So the elevated heel used to hold your foot on a horse, but most people are riding horses, and they never got rid of that. So the number one thing is foot health. If you don't have proper foot health, it's going to translate to your knees, and everything runs bilateral. Everything's like, if you think of like ratchet straps. If you just have one ratchet strap, it's not going to hold everything down. And if one's too tight, one's too loose, it's going to be all floppy. So usually with structure, I always got started at the feet, and then it's going to help with the calves, the knees, the hip flexors, the psoas, which your psoas runs up through your hips and ties into the top of your hips, your iliac crest. But,
so you're literally just saying do a toe wave.
Yep. So here, big
Lifts
toe up.
And
And that's the foundation to start. Arches, making sure you have proper ankle mobility, making sure you have proper, for you being from a jiu-jitsu background, like internal rotation, external rotation matters because that all matters for your hips and how tight everything is and being seated a lot. So for me, I do assessments. I'll do an assessment and assess your whole body and then see how tight your lats are or how tight and what degrees we can rotate at before I start implementing, or what muscle groups don't turn on and what ones you're utilizing to push or pull with. Because a lot of people, when they do stuff like chest press, they're pushing with their arms, they're not driving with their chest. So for me, it's like recalibrating the nervous system to actually fire the muscle groups necessary for your body to function like an optimal human.
Yeah, as you're talking, I'm like, I do need to work out.
I know, I
with you.
see
It's
you like touching
like,
things. You're
I'm
like,
like, oh, no, do this, my posture, everything.
The wild thing is we start with body weight. All of my clients, unless they're like want specifics and they buy a big program, then we could do something else. But most of it is foundational. And then most of my clients that are, or friends that once they start training, they see that it's not about the reps, it's about the contraction. So the weight is just an extension of the capabilities of your body. You know, the same thing with like anything else in life. You know, it can be just the water's the hydrating thing, but the vessel here just keeps it contained. You know.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that was a good analogy.
No, that was good.
But yeah, basically, I think a lot of people train big muscle groups and they go way too much ego, and they're not training applicably for their life. They have a faulty system, like you were saying in sales. There's got a lot of people that can be good at sales, but their systems suck. So your system sucks, and that's why you keep getting injured.
That's right. Yeah. So process over perfection. Having a good process, even if it's a mediocre process, is better than no process, because then you can make tweaks and improvements.
I want the grandparents to be able to play recess with their nephews and nieces and grandkids and this, that, and the other again. So the time where I think we get the most anxiety in life is when we lose recess and we start getting puberty and taxes, you know? Yeah. So, but what happens with that is we start training two-dimensionally, because a lot of these gyms, you're just going to hit dumbbells, you're going to hit Smith machine or squat rack or all these like leg press machines. So a lot of these are fixed ranges of motion, and your body can't move naturally like it's supposed to, because we're supposed to function in figure eights. So like what happens? You see a lot of people strength train, but then they do jujitsu and they're tightening up all those muscle groups, tightening up their hips earlier that day. Then they go do jujitsu. They don't warm up properly and they blow out their lateral, collateral, or their MCL or whatever else, their meniscus. And all that has to do with your hips, your back. So you just tighten up the wrong things, loosen up the other options on your like muscles, tendons, and so it's a snowball effect. And then once you have an injury on that left side, you overcompensate on the other side, and it's just going to be a snowball effect across. So what happens with your spine is, like especially here, is head posture. Because a lot of people are here, we're leaning. Mm-hmm. So there's certain areas of your spine that aren't supported properly, and then that's just going to cause misalignments. And that structural damage is just the crux for the underlying issues that are going on in different parts of your body.
Thank you. And then
that's kind of a lot.
No, it's a ton, but I like it because I also get to see, I like it when experts get to show their expertise, and you can tell you know your stuff.
Yeah.
And I love that. So let's shift to one other topic that I personally struggle with, and then we'll probably call that good for the day, because I'm sure we'll do lots of podcasts over the years.
He just wants to beat me up.
No,
He's ready.
He's ready. Absolutely not. We're going to go do a cold plunge. We're going to have lots of fun today.
Sweet. I know, even listening to it, I was like, oh.
Hey, I turned it up to like 39 or 40 degrees.
Hell yeah.
That's good.
People in Alaska would be ready for summer.
Exactly. That's not bad. Yeah. But the one other thing I want you, for me, a challenge I've gotten as I'm older is that I always had what I call destination dieting. Like there was always a goal or a place I was getting to. So it was easy to get in shape, but it was really easy to get out of shape. Mm-hmm. And now I don't have those destinations. For me, it was like fighting. If I wasn't at this weight by this date, I don't get a fight. Or if I'm not in really good shape, then I get my butt kicked. But now I don't have those deadlines. And I struggle with eating what I'm not supposed to be eating. And I know what I should be eating, but do you have any good ideas or tips that you can give to people to say, hey, really, you should be eating the 8-hour window. Here's how to do it. Anything like that.
You lost your why.
Absolutely.
You lost your
100% I
purpose.
lost my why. Yes.
So-
Simon Sinek, shout out.
What if the new fight is you getting your health back for your neck and you can go train again? So if you have a destination for X, like 6 months or a year,
Do you think diet's going to help me with my neck though? That's what I haven't made
100%,
that.
100%, 80%.
Because I've been
getting
diagnosed
fit.
as degenerative and that it's herniated.
But also, if you're talking to fat doctors that don't train, like, not saying you are or aren't, but a lot of people have like 2 weeks of nutrition. So unless you're talking to people that specialize in both, you're only getting half. If you're talking to a boxer about MMA, they're going to tell you about boxing, but they can't talk to you about the ground. It's not they're not a specialist and they can't help you out with fighting.
Yeah, they're both fighters, but
Yeah.
it's a different type
So,
of fighter. Yeah.
If you look into, I'll send you some stuff too. Inflammation can be so bad, like nicotine, anything like that.
Sugars.
Eat healthy.
That's my vice.
So sugar, extra
Carbs.
carbohydrates, and then going in the sauna instead of drinking electrolytes or whatever that may be. Staying up late, waking up too early. All those can be catalysts for bigger issues.
Oh, I get the issues.
Yeah.
So tell me, give me 3 simple principles or things that I could do that could help me or help anybody who's listening that's struggling with the weight or losing their why or just like basically people who don't feel good about where their body's at right now. What are 3 simple
Well,
things we can do to help with the diet?
With kids, it's kind of hard not to have a crazy amount of snacks in the house. But I do notice, and this might be triggering for some parents, but some parents will make the excuse of having snacks in the house for the kids, but then they tend to eat them. So if you can create better environments for yourself, so if you're up here more often, just don't have the snacks around is a big one.
That's not the issue for me. So I agree with you.
If we're
don't
talking
put yourself
audience.
around the temptation, right? If you're a drinker, don't go to the bar, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. But that's not. Let's say that's not the issue for me. I can have stuff in there, like I have a freezer full of garbagey food. My problem is late night eating. That's my biggest problem. It's like. For me, that's a comfort, both from how I was raised, had a family of 14 kids. There wasn't enough food to go around. The idea of going to bed with a full stomach just feels
Do you
great.
feel like that's so then that's I would say that's it's how did I word this? It's the comfort.
It's okay. You can just say you're a fat kid, David.
No.
You can
It's
just
a
say it.
comfort blanket from the nutritional psychology point is that you have that pattern that's ingrained. So for you, that's a deloading mechanism. Like people binge Netflix at night before they get off. So for you, it's a pattern of a potential eating window.
That's right. When I'm
And
stressed, it's a form of control.
it
Really,
is.
what it is.
It's a form of control, and it's a high level of dopamine. So you're burnt out throughout the day. You're talking to everybody. You're burnt out. So you're leaning into a higher level of dopamine.
And something
your
that's
body
easy and
only
immediate
knows
gratification.
your body, and there could be something in there. Say if it's chocolate or whatever that sweet is, your body can't tell you it's low on potassium, but it can tell you that there's potassium in chocolate. So it'll tell you to eat chocolate. I know I can get a little bit of potassium out of that chocolate. So your brain will send signals to your body, sometimes 2, and it'll tell you those signals like, hey, so you're already dehydrated, so it tells you to drink something, but you're past that point. But it can't tell you, or like you eat bread or whatever, something there, you needed more fiber. But you don't eat things with fiber, so it only knows like, that white bread has some in it, so that's what it'll tell. There are signals that happen that your body's trying to teach
So
you.
if I give myself the right nutrition, I'll have less of the cravings.
I think if you you can do blood testing and things like that if you want to get real deep in the weeds.
Just did it, yeah.
And you can have some vitamin deficiency that's going to cause you to want, or it could be dopamine too. You've been hitting the head a lot too. So like our impulse control is not the same of somebody that has not usually, even if you are calculated and you have discipline. Because like you're saying, you can eat the cake. But you
That
can
hurts more
continuously
than a
eat the cake.
punch. You telling me that hurts more than the
Doesn't
punch
it?
itself?
Right?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
me
that
too.
does
I
hurt.
can't watch CTE stuff.
Oh,
That's the
I
scariest
think about it
nightmare of
all
my
the
life.
time. That's frankly why I
My
retired.
friends send me some stuff, and I was like, I can't watch this. It is like 9 at night.
At some
and I'm
point,
just
you
laying there
realize
thinking
you're
about
not invincible, and that
No.
this stuff.
Well, and-
my wife, she's a nurse in critical care ICU, and she deals with CTE all the time, and I am her walking case where she's just like, it's a matter of time.
But some of it, if you look into new studies too, some of it's genetic. Some people get it worse based off of their genetics, and some people are going to be okay into their 70s or 80s.
That's right.
But if
Yeah.
you get Parkinson's, hopefully it's the happy kind, like my mom has right now. She just laughs all the time. She's like just perma stoned. So, but not wishing that.
Hope,
Like,
yeah,
no,
hoping it's
nothing
not
like
happening.
that. But
I'm grateful for all the advances in medicine that are happening
glutathione
right
and-
now.
So, but I would say that's your brain. It's a pattern for one, but it's your brain signaling that it needs something. And that's what it knows it can get that thing from, even if it's a little bit. So maybe that's why you're having larger quantities of said thing. It's like, oh, I'm not getting this nutrient or this mineral or this vitamin, but it's triggering this response from my brain. So I'm going to continue doing this because that's my pattern I have until you can figure out what specifically that is. For some people, it's like you said, it's a safe haven, it's an old pattern, it's a safety net for your day. So like that's your version of popping the beer or whatever that is that helps people relax and kind of chill out. So it would be interesting to find out. So creating an individual's blueprint would be, you could dissect that a little bit more and see what time it is, what your triggers are throughout the day, what days you eat. You could do a food journal and say, hey, I had this much workload and it made me want this much more of this. But this week I had 6 hours of sleep that night. I had a 4-hour drive. I was at work for 12 hours.
To recognize the patterns themselves. Yeah, because I thought you were getting around intentional eating. And yes, I think if you do intentional eating, you're great. But for me, the problem is the unintentional eating.
Well, it's like always stepping to the left and getting caught with the hook.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, why? Why do I
Yes.
always drop my hand at that time? So at night, you're dropping your left hand, and that kick is coming over the top. But for some reason, you can't read the damn kick every time. And so there's something there that's causing you to have that response. And it's because we're pleasure monkeys without tails. So we all have our pleasures. And but yeah, I would say there's something that usually, and even if you're like, well, I'm good for a week, and then something happens. And with most fighters too, they have eating disorders because like a lot of people will just think of because they're forced into the diet rather than by choice, if that makes sense. And then a lot of them will look at food and different things while they're not. So you're programming your brain just to think about sweets, and then once you get there, it's hard to come off. I was like that with physique competitions too.
Yeah, you know what's funny is there's two different ways. I was reading a book about habits, and there's two ways that you can actually use your brain to think about food to get more of what you want out of it. So if you are just thinking about the food itself, you're going to crave it more and more and more. But if you think about what the food's going to do and actually how you feel instead, like how do I feel right now? Am I really hungry? So just like the way that you think about food will either make you more hungry or less hungry, even when it's the same food. So
It's like the apple theory. Have you heard that?
No,
If
it's
you're not hungry enough to eat an apple, you're not hungry, you're bored.
Oh, okay. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. By the way, that's absolutely true. I tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, "You're not hungry. You're bored." And let's go
But for
figure out.
you, you're stressed or whatever it is. So it's maybe not boredom.
I think it's not even that. It's the dopamine release. It's the easy win, right? This is, I think, why I was talking with somebody else, different podcast about this. In America, we have such easy access to food. A lot of places don't have the same level of access in convenience stores and all that, and the 24-hour convenience mart, stuff like that. But humans, by our nature, we crave dopamine, we crave pleasure, we seek those things. And I don't think we've ever lived in a time in history where it's been easier to get that. And you can get immediate gratification very easily now. And so we crave the gratification, and long-term gratification is very hard, and that's what's accomplished with discipline and everything else. But immediate gratification is something that you can get pretty easy, whether that's a video game or something else, but food's probably the easiest.
And
anybody can eat. It doesn't take skill, it doesn't take ability, but you get to feel like you had a win.
And your nervous system, for you come from, or you put yourself in situations where you're in survival mode. So that could be later at night, you go on to autopilot, and there's still probably part of your nervous system in your brain that thinks, oh, I feel like I'm surviving. And you probably being broke and not having food, and then being able to get brownies or whatever your thing is,
Yeah.
it's other than the pleasure center, it makes you feel safe.
Yeah, it makes you feel safe, and like I said, it's an easy way to feel like you did something, like you accomplished something without actually accomplishing something.
that's
That's why
right.
the overweight problem America has.
And weed. because weed hits dopamine receptors for people too. That like any of those, like drinking alcohol, other than being a GABA antagonist, it's also dopamine, especially when the first couple drinks you have again, if you don't drink, it releases more dopamine. And then for alcoholics and things like that, the dopamine fades off. So like all of those things can stimulate your brain.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, there are no shortcuts when it comes to actually feeling better, but there are things that make you feel better for a little while, and got to get out of that habit. Plus, anybody who's done fighting or had to do competition where you have to get down to a certain weight, it creates a very unhealthy relationship with food where you're looking forward to too much. I talked to a bunch of fighters. I think Kenny and I were reminiscing on cutting weight, and we would literally write lists. I know Jeremy did this, but we would write lists of the foods that we wanted, or when you saw somebody eating something, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna really want that.
Yeah.
And you'd make the whole list. And then for him and me, for Jeremy and me, literally in like a weekend, we would eat all those foods.
Oh, dude, I was making like, I was doing like food porn journals. I would like talk about like how I would draw pictures of it. And, like brownies and, whatever else it is. Like, and then we had a drawer over the time for physique competitions. This was one of the latest things because I haven't fought since then. I did physique in my 20s. I was just looking for that next thing, And we had a drawer, and every week me and my buddy, because he was a bodybuilder, he's the one that showed me this, which is so silly looking back on it. You just stack different snacks in that top drawer, in your sock drawer, boom, and then just like talk dirty, do it for a second, and close it up.
You would
I'm gonna put you in my mouth on Sunday, May 2nd, after the show.
I love this so much.
Because like we're talking about like the pancakes we were gonna make. We did it too. I went from 172 on stage to 201 pounds within that weekend by Monday. No, the only time I've never had abs.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is, on one of my fights, I weighed at 155 pounds. The next day, by the time we were getting ready to fight, I stepped on the scale. I was 181 pounds. So, that's 26 pounds in a 24-hour period. Now, a lot of that's hydration and all that.
Yeah.
But what's gross is that I got up to like 189 within a week of that, of just like eating terrible.
Well, and then you cause massive inflammation on an already taxed body, super bad for your brain. So it's just impeding even more damage on the brain. And then on top of that, like when people, it blows my mind. It's with like Maggio and some of the other people I actually help with weight cuts and things like that. I'm like, hey, just keep eating what you did for fight camp.
Afterwards.
Just more
It's just
of it.
so hard. It's
Don't
just so
eat
hard.
pizza and pasta and all these things. Like it blew my mind.
But until you've done it, man, I can't. Like I said, it's a very unhealthy relationship with food. But you look at it, and I was more excited to go eat dinner after my fight than the win itself half the time.
Well, that's why I was staying. I was like, hey, Maggio, eyes up here. No. We can have that tomorrow. One more day. Because and then he said that was one of the best fights he had, most energy. I brought him food with his own elk that he killed in meals. I'm like, just eat 3 more of these. I promise. I'll buy you all the whatever. We'll buy all the pizza. Like, just wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wait until after the fight. And then there's also like what's the term for that? Reverse dieting. So you go up and then you can reverse diet and then build your calories back up again. So you don't get lethargic. You don't blow out your metabolism, your metabolic system. You don't mess with your mucosal lining in your gut. Like all that stuff can drastically mess you up.
We'll tell you what. I'll make you a trade. I will teach you jujitsu, and I'll give you investment recommendations and support as much as possible.
Cool.
Sorry, and investment education, not recommendations.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I was like, oh wait, allegedly. Yeah.
And by the way, anything that I give you there is not related to my work and my regular job. Okay, disclosure's done.
Yeah.
So with
nonprofit.
That's right.
Yeah.
So. But I'll make you that trade. If you can help me with my body, I will help you with your bank account and some jits.
You could say, I'll unfuck your finances. No, I appreciate it. But yeah, and those are those little things where you get the difference between learning from a blue belt and learning from whatever level belt I am is this thing, But
you're a 3-stripe black belt,
yeah,
man.
I'm working on it. But then, because we always see we all see the like looking at like the high level Gracies and stuff, and you're like, I'm not that black belt. But it is that, and it's navigating and just kind of swimming through your own bullshit, honestly. And knowing the why. Knowing the why.
Knowing
Why
the
am I
why
doing
and then
this?
building habits around
Dropping
your
the
whys.
shoulder when you throw the hook or whatever it is, you know, you're like, why does my front delt always hurt when I throw this? And it's like, you got to drop this back down. Same concept with your diet and stuff. You're like, why am I doing this? And then maybe trying to find a healthier alternative that you can get away with.
That's right. Well, I'm a big believer in replacement therapy, right? That you can't drop a habit or an addiction. You replace it with something else instead of having healthy or unhealthy habits.
And I'm a firm believer in replacing it with something with less ingredients. Like you can have these snack bars and all this stuff, but it doesn't translate well for your body. There's a lot of people that get stomach issues, and I know we're going deep in the weeds here, but hormonal issues from eating these different bars and things like that. So if you can find something with 5 ingredients, or make like some sort of dessert or whatever it is that you really like with less ingredients, it's better. Because then you have freaking Mitch that's still doing keto, but it's just like still
All the
crap.
wrong way.
Still
Yeah.
crap. Like he'd be eating every day, and he's like, "What do you think of this, Justin? Huh?" You know, monotone.
Well, speaking of that, I've got some locally raised, locally sourced, organic Highland cow from High Life Ranch right here in Utah. Check them out. And I'm going to cook you some burger with that tonight. How about that?
Ooh, I'm excited. I'm super excited.
Okay, so I'm going to close this out by saying we had Justin Sloan on here. He has his podcast, Just in Our Minds. He also has John Fit. Please check him out. Follow him. He is somebody worth knowing. And also, if you get the time, check out #Becoming Someone Worth Knowing.
Thank you, guys.